We have to be trained when we're really young to see that in this case it's necessary. Because they have constitutions, and they have elections, and they have these really big buildings, and they have lots of law books, and they sound so official, and you watch CNN and they say big words, and they dress in suits, so it must be legitimate. It isn't just some loony at your front door saying you do what I say or I hurt you. It looks so professional. It looks like, the inauguration. It looks like the crowning of a king. There's a reason for that. Because divine right of kings was a little bit too stupid for people to fall for anymore. They changed it to divine right of politicians. Most people still fall for it. Because if you do big rituals, it must be real. There must be something to this. They wouldn't do all this just based on made-up powers that they just claim to have. Well, yeah, they would, and yeah, they did. And the only reason it works is because we fall for it. But again, the beauty is that people are naturally anarchists. And that doesn't mean they throw bombs through windows. It means they want voluntary interaction. They don't want the guy showing up and saying, I'm your master, I'm going to boss you around. They want to be able to go to a supermarket and say, I want that, and I would have bought that, but it's a little bit too expensive, so I'll just have these. And then you go to the counter and you do a voluntary transaction. You didn't have to buy anything. They didn't have to sell you anything. You do the deal. They get a little bit of money. You get some food or whatever you bought. You go away. Thank you. On the brink of death there. And guess what? There's a word for that. It's called anarchism. The more specific term for it is voluntarism. And a lot of people say you should use voluntarism and not anarchism because that word is scary. And to a certain extent I agree, except usually if you start explaining voluntarism, someone will say, you mean like anarchism, no government? So I'll just start with the term that freaks them out and then explain why it shouldn't freak you out to say that guy at your front door, it's not okay that he's doing that. And really, that is all the term means. When somebody says, I get to be your rightful Lord and Master for your own good, all anarchism means is, I don't believe you. I don't believe you want to violently dominate me for my own good. What kind of bogus claim is that? It's like a carjacker saying, this is for your own good. Can I have your car, please? Nobody would fall for that unless you do these big rituals and have massive propaganda from the time kids are tiny little kids. You pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic, which is a ruling class, for which it stands, before they even know what the words are saying, what the words mean. And so, again, the reason there is hope is this is not what people naturally choose. That's not the form of interaction they naturally choose. They choose voluntarism, which is, I don't want to attack my neighbor. I don't want him to attack me. I want us to get along. I might not even like him. I might just kind of avoid him, and he'll avoid me, and that's okay. If we don't attack each other, we don't care. If we like each other, we'll deal with the people I like, and he can deal with the people he likes. Now, one scenario that I've done a bunch of times when I do longer events, I don't have time to do the in-depth version now, is I will say, imagine that the people in this room, we were on a boat or a plane or whatever, crashed into a deserted island. We're it. We're all the people in the world right now. There's no authority, there's no 911, there's no cops, there's no courts, there's no representative to call. And I say, imagine this is the scenario, and most of us don't know the rest of us. And we don't know who we can trust. I mean, there may be a couple of feds in here, and I wouldn't nearly trust them. And so I say, well, what would we do? Imagine that we're it. There is no cop-out available to say, well, we'll let authority handle it. Well, there isn't any. We're just sitting on an island. We're just people. What do we do? And I would go through, in these events I did before, I would go through in detail the different scenarios. The first one is always, well, one guy says, well, I think we need leadership here. People say, okay, maybe. What do you mean? I mean, I'm in charge, I get to tell everybody what to do, and I get to hurt anybody who disobeys me. And so I'll ask, who in this crowd would be for that? Nobody I've had yet for anybody to say, I'm for that. That's government. So in that setting, nobody I've ever met at these events has been in favor of government. When I say, well, how about if somebody stands up and says, well, I happen to teach a course on survival, and I know how to build huts that actually keep the rain out, and I know how to start a fire without... And if people want to help out, I'll help you build your shelter if you help me build mine, and we can get a team together. Anybody want to voluntarily do that? I've never met anybody who objected to that. Now, some people might say, I can build my own hut. I mean, you guys go right ahead. I don't need to do that. I can build my own, but yeah, why on earth would I object to people getting along voluntarily and doing that? Well, there's a term for that. It's called anarchism, which means I do these events, everyone is against government and everyone is in favor of anarchy. Anarchy, that scary word. In other words, voluntarism, getting along peacefully without a violent, dominating authority trying to forcibly run the show.